Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers.
And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, another special edition of the Terrible Podcast, Pittsburgh Steelers Training Camp 2025. I am Dave Bryan from SteelersDepot.com. It is Monday. It is August 11th. It is 7:50 p.m. in Eastern Time in Pittsburgh, and that's right where my co-host Alex Kozora is, fresh off practice 14 of training camp that was open to the public out at Saint Vincent College. So with that, Alex, happy Monday. Happy close to the end of training camp day.
Happy Monday, Dave. The final week here and next to last practice. Lighter session today. We'll see if they're in the pads tomorrow. Have the joint practice Thursday, obviously. So a lot to talk about still. A lot of housekeeping, probably more housekeeping than actual substance of the day, but still some notable notes from the afternoon.
Absolutely. And as usual, we start with giving a shout out to the sponsor of the special edition of the Terrible Podcast, and that would be Touring Plans. And that's the fine folks, Lynn Testa and his site there for anything related to Disney, a trip, whether you're going out to the West Coast or going down to Florida, or if you're booking a Disney cruise. Make sure you go to touringplans.com and see what all they have to offer as far as helping you plan your trip, book your trip, check on lines and fast passes and anything related. They even have a blog up on that site that they post regularly too. And really, it's your one-stop shop for everything related for your Disney plans. So that they also have an app on the App Store that you can download. So please, for us, make sure you bookmark the site touringplans.com. And make sure you use it for anything related to a Disney trip that you might have coming up. So with that, Alex, anything to add about Touring Plans?
No, well said. And we thank Touring Plans for their continued nonstop coverage of the site. So reach out to them if you have any trips to Disney World, Disneyland, anything Disney related. We appreciate Len Testa and the support of touringplans.com.
Absolutely. All right. We got a lot to get to before we even get to what happened in practice. Had a few roster moves happen earlier in the day. So, Alex, why don't you run down the comings and the goings related to that?
Sure. The roster moves. 2 players signed, 2 players exit. The 2 players signed, tight end Kevin Fulch with a stint number 2 with the team. He was signed back earlier in training camp. He now replaces DJ Thomas Jones, who was not waived injured, but he did not practice Thursday. Thomas Jones did not. He did not play Saturday, so Fulch back in that number 84 jersey. And then unfortunately, and you had a good clip of it, Dave, Cameron McCutcheon pulled his hammy on a punt during Saturday's game, so the solid camp he was having comes to an abrupt halt. He was waived injured, the team signing Mikey Victor in his place, a cornerback and a pretty tall guy like Cameron McCutcheon was. And Victor will wear McCutcheon's number 38. So those were the roster swaps today.
Yeah, I pulled up, was able to find it on the TV tape there. He grabbing the back with McCutcheon, grabbing the back of that right hamstring as functioning as a jammer on a punt later on in the game, and he did not have any plays after that. Mike Tomlin mentioned his injury status after the game and it potentially being a soft tissue hamstring injury. He got waived injured, so he'll clear waivers. He'll revert to IR. We'll wait to see if he gets any kind of a settlement within the week. And hopefully it's not a serious hamstring injury. Maybe this is a guy that can maybe at some point during the season get back to the Steelers practice squad. But for now, he's out of the picture there, and I think that gets us all caught up on the roster moves there. The Steelers had a couple players in for tryouts and one in for a visit. We won't go over those right now. We'll probably mention those on the next podcast show Wednesday. And if you're listening to this and you're wondering what happened to the Monday morning episode, no all 22 had dropped at that point. Alex had to get out to training camp, so we decided to just bypass the Monday morning terrible podcast because we had done one Sunday morning that recapped the game. So with that, Alex, tell us about the players' comings and goings who practiced and did not practice and those that were limited for the Monday training camp practice.
Sure, not practicing today. Cornerback Corey Trice Jr. continues to miss. Same with rookie cornerback Dante Kent, quarterback Will Howard. Howard did a little bit of work in some of the individual drills, going through bag drills, footwork, ripping a football but not throwing it. So small steps, still has the splint on that broken right pinky finger on his right hand. Calvin Austin continues to miss. Ryan McCollum, who did not play Saturday, did not work today at all. No Isaac Malu either. Cam Hayward continues that hold in. Talk about that and be a little bit in this show, and certainly for the Wednesday show, Hayward spoke to the media today. No John Smith. He did some spirited route running on the side, so probably still the knee, but nothing major there. JJ Galbraith, the rookie tight end, did not practice today. Don't know what's going on there. He looked okay when he came down on the field, but in a hoodie, did not work. No Alex Highsmith, no Jalen Ramsey, and no Devin Harper, the off-ball linebacker. Now, Highsmith and Ramsey did some rehab and work on the side and some decent work at that too. So those guys seem relatively close to a comeback. So good news there. Ramsey missed the last couple of days and Highsmith has missed a couple more with a groin injury. Darius Slay was the injury of note in practice today. The first team play in 7 shots. He rolled his ankle. Pittsburgh has a probably not up to code kind of lip on the right corner of the end zone, kind of a hill there. I think maybe that's where Slay turned his right ankle, but he was okay overall. Got some ice on it. End of the day, walking around fine. So it's a minor injury, thankfully, there. Mike Tomlin did not mention it post practice, but Derek Carman only worked in 7 shots. He did not work in any team period after that. He looked fine on the sideline, had his helmet on, didn't see a trainer with him, but something had to have happened there. So we'll check that for tomorrow.
All right, and while Black was full participant today, we were kind of wondering because he only had 9 defensive snaps in that game on Saturday night.
Yeah, he was good to go. He's got a big brace on that right arm. I think he's always had something on there, but the brace seems to be getting larger maybe throughout training camp, but he was a full participant.
All right. And Galbraith being sidelined and then bringing back Kevin Fulch and all, and then letting DJ talk. Is anybody going to challenge Connor? Anybody want some of Connor Hayward? I mean, Connor's doing the best thing, and that's staying available, right?
Absolutely, and he's had a fine camp, and he looks in the driver's seat for that number 4 tight end spot.
All right, let's start with the offensive line. I think you had a couple of people swapping some positions today. I noted in your Twitter.
Yeah, the Steelers had a couple guys moving and shaking, part for injury reasons, with only 2 functional centers working, and Zach Frazier, Max Sharping. A couple of guards getting some center reps. That was Doug Nestor and Aiden Williams. Nestor got team center snaps in the 11-on-11 period, and so he was getting some work there. Williams did not, but snapped early in practice, and so he's got maybe a little bit of flexibility there. So Nestor probably didn't have a great game. I have to still watch the All-22, just getting back today. Got posted earlier, but a little bit of versatility in his cap, not going to be a bad thing there. Andres Pete, who played left tackle in Thursday's practice, his first day with the team, played left guard today. He's played left guard and left tackle throughout the last several seasons, so not foreign to him as he tries to make a late push for the roster.
All right, and they weren't in pads today, correct?
Correct. Later day, so fewer notes overall. We'll see if they're in pads tomorrow. One note, though, for the offensive line, just continue to be impressed by the job Troy Fautanu has done against TJ Watt in 11-on-11. Each time I kind of take a note of a rep there, it seems like Fautanu is winning it. Now, Watt may be trying different moves and testing things out, and haven't seen a lot of inside rushes for Fautanu to counter. That's still been the big thing I want to look at Fautanu at, but I think he had a nice practice today defending TJ Watt around the edge.
All right, as far as the offensive line go, I think we got a couple of film rooms probably on the way now that the All-22 is dropped, and already pulled the reel on the 15 I think it was the 15 snaps that the starting offensive line group played in that game. Was it 15 or 10? I can't remember.
15.
15 is what it was. Yeah. So look for something on that. And as you noted, with them not being in pads, probably not more notes, not a lot of notes on the offensive line in total there. Tight ends, whatever's left of them, and they were out there. What happened with them today?
Yeah, only 4 working, but they made some plays. Connor Hayward had a really nice reaching back for a catch over the middle for a 13-yard gain. He's got good hands. He's shown that throughout his career. It's no surprise, but still on display. But Pat Frymuth had the play of the day for the tight ends, a 70-yard touchdown getting open. I think maybe beating cover 2 or maybe some sort of blown coverage, running past Cole Holcomb, Rudolph finding him down the middle and outrunning Miles Killebrew the rest of the way, although they were going, but they weren't going probably 100% full speed at the end of that rep, Killebrew and Frymuth. But Frymuth, a couple of catches downfield today, so nice to see him on my notes in a big way.
All right, and Jonnu just mainly doing stuff coming back from that injury, right? That's a note on him.
Right, he was in a helmet but not a jersey today, working on the middle field away from everybody else with a trainer, going through routes and going pretty hard, about 75% speed, I would estimate. So I'm guessing it's still the knee. He probably shouldn't have come back that first day after hurting that knee to go through a full practice, and maybe that was a little bit rushed. So it's minor. He may not practice in full tomorrow, but he should be good for whenever they need him for a game.
All right, wide receivers, and this is a wide receiver group that's coming off a pretty decent showing overall Saturday night against the Jacksonville Jaguars. What do you have to report on that group today?
It was a little bit quieter for those rookies who stepped up inside that game for Keyshawn Williams, Max Hurlman, and Rock Taylor. I don't think any of the three had a reception in the team period today. Taylor had a drop on the 2-minute drill, fourth down, 4th and 2 or 3. Rudolph finding him on a slant. It was low, but I think intentionally low, so where only Taylor could make it, and the ball rolled away from him to end the 2-minute drill, not get Pittsburgh into field goal range. So not a lot of notes on those guys today. I think it was a good battle. We talk so much about the rookies. I still think those are more practice squad guys, Hurlman, Williams, etc., than 53. But Scotty Miller versus Robert Woods for that fifth receiver spot on the 53, I think could be a really fun battle to watch. Miller makes plays basically every single practice, had a couple of downfield catches today, but Woods had a couple plays too on a slant. And he's a veteran that can block and has a little different skill set than kind of the smaller, speedy receivers that largely populate this receiver depth chart. So that's still an open battle. I put Scotty Miller my last and latest 53-man roster prediction, but this thing I think will go down to the wire.
All right. What do you have at running back for today?
Not a whole lot. It's pretty hard to evaluate those guys without the pads on. Jalen Warren working, runs to the end zone after every single rep. I think it rubs off on the other players like Evan Hull. He does it too now, but nothing in pass protection as receivers. I guess one note, and it's really this similar thought to what I've had before, but Kenneth Gainwell during the individual period, at least for part of it, he worked with a tight end group. Not that he's a tight end, it was the receiving portion, but just running some routes where the running backs did some other stuff in a different portion of the field. Which is to say, maybe because they were thin at tight end, only had 4 guys working today. Maybe they wanted an extra body for the quarterbacks to get their throws in, but also just a reminder of, I think, how much Pittsburgh is focusing on Gainwell's receiving ability as much as what he offers as an actual running back.
All right. And let's go to quarterback next, coming off of obviously seeing Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson have nice showings Saturday night against the Jaguars.
Yeah, quarterbacks I thought overall were good today. Rodgers had some difficulty in the 7 shots. Really, the whole offense did. He had a couple passes tipped away, one batted at the line of scrimmage and picked off. But the arm looks live. Had a great deep ball drop in the bucket to DK Metcalf, left sideline for a 30-yard gain. Just overall, the arm looked good. I think maybe there was some miscommunication throughout the day. Saw Rodgers kind of pulling guys aside a little more than usual there, but nice day for him. I think Rudolph was good. Rodgers did lead the 2-minute drill into field goal range, which is all where it needed to be for this particular session. It was 1:09 on the clock. Offense 2 timeouts at their own 20, needing a field goal to win, and Rodgers put them down inside the 20. And Logan Woodside did not work in team today, so he's still trying to get acclimated after signing to the roster on Thursday.
All right, so it was just Rodgers, Mason, and Skylar doing the bulk today then, right?
In the team periods, correct. And Thompson, I don't know if I have any real particular notes, but I think a fine day all around for these quarterbacks.
All right, that's got us on the any overarching thoughts on the offense today?
Not really. When they're not in pads, it's harder to have some of those overall thoughts. I mean, there were some downfield plays. They didn't win 7 shots, but there were some more interesting plays in the open grass team period, and nice to see Rodgers. The ball didn't go in the end zone, but have a successful 2-minute drill, which is really his first of training camp so far.
All right, and we'll talk about this, I'm sure, more on Wednesday during the show there. But just kind of like we predicted, for several reasons. One of those being kind of the lack of tight ends. The Steelers used 11 personnel on 45 plays against the Jaguars, and 12 personnel 20 times. And on 4 of those 20 plays that they ran 12 personnel, Dylan Cook was out there being used as a a second tight end or a 6 offensive lineman on the field. And I think he reported eligible on 2 of those 4 plays. And when you back this thing out to show you just how predominant 11 personnel was in this game, 10 of the 20 plays that the Steelers used 12 personnel on against the Jaguars were run in the fourth quarter. So that means that the first 3 quarters that the Steelers used 11 personnel on 41 plays, with 12 personnel just being used 10 plays. So we kind of thought that might be the case. And look, we already know how this team's going to use a lot of 12 and 13 personnel during the season. So the Steelers really didn't tip a lot of hands, when it comes to heavy usage of tight end packages. And we'll have to see how much that changes in these final 2 preseasons. All right, flipping over to the defensive side of football there with the defensive line, Alex.
He had Big Daniel Quale getting an interception, and it's funny to see individual periods translate into game action. The D-line was working on tip drills today, which is usually done by the linebackers or the cornerbacks, where somebody will, coach will throw up a ball, one guy has to bat it, and the other guy has to pick it. Wouldn't expect the defensive lineman why they getting these reps to do that kind of stuff, but lo and behold, in 7 shots, somebody tipped it. I think it was Loudermilk on a Rodgers throw. Ball went straight up into the air. Quale came down and snagged it. So it was very much like the Kim Hayward interception he had against the Giants in 2020. And Rodgers hit the deck on that play. He was okay, thankfully, but kind of a crazy moment there. So nice job there by Quale as guys continue to get their hands up in throwing lanes. I know Rodgers has had a bunch of passes batted this year, and it's probably a little bit because of his arm angle, that arm slot being lower than other quarterbacks, but I think it's actually probably pretty common for these guys to have passes batted. Defensive linemen, they know they can't rush as hard. Offensive linemen, they can't hit these guys whenever they jump, so you kind of have more freedom to do so. You kind of get in the rhythm and feeling for your quarterback, what his arm slot looks like when he's ready to reel back and throw the football. So just seeing those guys every day, probably wouldn't expect that to happen to Rodgers as often in the regular season against new people. Justin Fields had, I think, 13 passes batted down last training camp. Didn't really translate as much in the regular season. So, yeah, I mean, Logan Lee getting more reps today with Derek Carman not working fully, not finishing practice. So that was good for Lee after only getting 4 snaps in the Jaguars game.
Yeah, that was a little bit surprising, along with the limited amount of snaps that Black had to play. We'll talk maybe a little bit more about that during the Wednesday podcast. All right, outside linebackers today. T.J. Watt was out there causing a little bit of havoc, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think Fautanu did a nice job overall. I thought Herbeck had some good pressure in this one. Just not a lot of notes here. There was no O-line, D-line, no full run period, nothing live, and so not really a whole lot to note. Darvin Leal got some props for in 7-on-7. The edge guys, they don't really do a whole lot. They're kind of just there as fixtures, but had a little nice job covering the flat on a check down to Lou Nichols, and Leal was able to bump Nichols and got some praise for it. Didn't seem like he had a great game, but I still have to dig into the all-22 of this Jacksonville contest. So, guys have been working every day. We take that for granted, but a lot of injuries in training camp. Julius Walshaw, Eku, Leota, those guys have been healthy, working every single day at training camp, and that should not be unnoticed because it's good whenever those guys can soak up as many reps as possible.
All right, what do you have at inside linebacker today?
Got Patrick Queen back after getting the day off Thursday. He was healthy, just rest there. I thought Malik Harrison continues to play the run well, but no big takeaways overall. Probably more reps for Carson Bruner because Devin Harper didn't work. Not sure what's going on there with Harper, but I still believe the intent and the hope and the goal for the Steelers team will be to get Peyton Wilson out there in all situations facing nickel instead of just playing the nickel reps that he did last year. And even then, Landon Roberts ate into those nickel reps a decent amount. I think his team wants to go full bore with Wilson and Queen being their top guys, instead of the 3-man rotation where Malik Harrison or somebody like that would come in and play those base rundowns.
I believe our Josh Carney has a film room coming up from the game the other night on Carson Bruner here. So listeners, be on the lookout for that. All right, how about the defensive backs today? And I think you got an interesting nugget on that group.
Yeah, Brandon Echols playing on the slot for the first time this training camp. Now, lines were thinner there with no Ramsey, no Dante Kent, and so maybe they're trying to mix and match and quote-unquote take advantage of that opportunity. But you saw Echols play in the slot first team consistently. Thought he had a nice day overall. He's done it before. He's done it in previous stops, but not done it in training camp this year. So that was good to see Echols move around. So it was a lot of Porter and Pierre on the outside. With Echols in the slot, it was supposed to be Slay and Porter. Then Slay went down one play in, so Pierre finish things out. But yeah, Echols getting work as a slot cornerback today.
All right, and we already noted the Cameron McCutcheon injury and being weighed. That's an unfortunate thing with there because seemed like he was having a pretty good camp, right?
Yeah, they had a solid camp. I think he was ticketing himself for the practice squad, so unfortunate there. But as you said, he could circle back with an injury settlement midseason. We shall see. Joey Porter Jr. had some nice plays in maybe not the team periods, but some of the skeleton work competition period. Had a breakup in the end zone, 7-on-7, a breakup downfield on a deep ball to DK Metcalf. So nice job by Porter today. He's back fully healthy and ready to go. James Pierre, a tougher day though. He gave up a touchdown in 7 shots. Should have been called for a hold on Roman Wilson downfield. He was the one beat by Metcalf for a 30-yard gain. So I think Pierce had some good plays this camp. Today, though, not his finest performance.
All right, and probably not a lot to talk about when it comes to the safety position not being in pads.
Yeah, not a whole lot overall. Didn't really see much of any out of Castro and Quindell Johnson today. Juan Thornhill almost picked Aaron Rodgers in that 2-minute drill, which would have been the third time in training camp that Thornhill picked Rodgers in 2 minutes, but kind of ran into Brandon Echols and prevented Thornhill from finishing the play. I think Roman Wilson was running a corner route and quick conversation post play between Rodgers and Wilson. But yeah, not a lot of notes there. Chuck Clark, a little more active in my notes today, but nothing really standing out.
All right, anything on special teams to report today?
No, they did some special team sessions. It was more skeleton, a little bit of kick return work, no actual returners. I'm going to chart that from the game. That'll be more interesting than the practice today. So not a whole lot happening there. Logan Lee continues to kind of dabble in long snapping with Tucker Addington being released a couple days ago.
All right, and walk us through 7 shots, if you will.
Yeah, there's one play in dispute. Maybe was it a touchdown or not? But the first play was Rodgers throwing back right corner to a twisting DK Metcalf, who made a nice catch over Slay. That's the play where Slay got hurt on. Next play was Rodgers looking around through back of the end zone. TJ Watt dropping in the coverage, not just the line of scrimmage, but he batted that one back and out of the end zone, incomplete. Next one was the Rodgers interception. The ball got, tipped to the line of scrimmage. Quality came down with it. Fourth play, Mason Rudolph comes in, hits Scotty Miller on a dig over the middle for a touchdown, beating Pierre. The fifth place, the one where I'm not 100% sure if Miller came down with it. It was a great leaping catch, open back of the end zone, right side a little bit. I think he was out of bounds. A staffer in the back of the end zone gave the incompletion sign, so I'm going to go incomplete on that one. Next play, Lou Nichols dropping a pass on an angle route, left side from Skylar Thompson, so should have been a touchdown, but was not. And then last play, blitz came by the defense. Thompson kind of chucked the ball right side, sort of in the area for Evan Hall, but he had no chance at it, and Colcom had good coverage, and so I got the defense winning this one 5-2.
All right, anything significant in 11-on-11 type periods?
Yeah, the big plays to Frymouth, 70-yard touchdown, the 30-yard completion from Rodgers to Metcalf, and that was Rudolph that hit Frymouth. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier or not. Those were kind of the two big highlights of the day.
All right, are you expecting them in pads tomorrow or no?
That's a good question. I wish I knew. I wish Mike Tomlin would tell me ahead of time. I mean, I expected pads for one of these two practices. I know they have the Thursday practice. They'll be in pads for sure. I don't know how intense it'll be. Probably fairly intense overall. But I'm going to guess they're in pads tomorrow, but it is a Mike Tomlin call, so we shall find out together.
All right, and tomorrow's the final practice open to the public out there, right?
Yep, last practice, number 15. They will practice Thursday, joint practice at Acrisure. That is closed to the public, and then have the game on Saturday. I believe they're practicing Wednesday, too. That would make sense, but that'll be back at the team facility, so we will not be there for that.
All right. You'll be back out there tomorrow and then back out with me tomorrow night to recap the final practice, training camp practice open to the public, and we'll then start getting ready for the second preseason game on Saturday night against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Acrisure Stadium. So, all right, with that, you can follow me on Twitter /X at Steelers Depot. Follow Alex at Alex_Kozora. Follow the show at Terrible Podcast. Email the show, theterriblepodcast@gmail.com. If you like what we do and want to donate, SteelersDepot.com. Hit the donate button. Also, if you like an ad-free version of the site, hit the ad-free button in the navigational bar and follow the directions and get yourself a username and log in with that. So let's see. Until Tuesday night, as always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast. Another special edition of the Terrible Podcast, Pittsburgh Steelers Training Camp 2025 with Dave and Alex.